Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Lisa Smithson. I have been working at Sky for 13 years, nearly 14 years in May. And in that time, we have been taken over by Comcast. So we're under the sort of Comcast umbrella of companies now, which includes people like NBCUniversal, blah, blah, blah. I'm a technology project manager, and I have historically worked on infrastructure and network projects, but I've had an increasing interest in AI, which has now led to a role in AI project management and delivery. I would ask if you could leave questions to the end. This is half sort of my having fun with AI stuff over the last 18, 12 months that got me more interested in it. And then half of it is talking more about AI transformation and actual delivery at big companies. So my story starts with a story, which was about 18 months ago. I wrote a bedtime story for my daughter, but I can't draw. So I asked my husband if he could do a few pictures for me. He can draw, and he said, sure, I'll do it in a couple of weeks. So I had thought, well, that's too long. I'll go on ChatGPT, and I've heard it's pretty good at images, and I'll see if it can do your job for you. So I went on ChatGPT, and it did take a bit of wrangling about 12, 18 months ago. But I did get some good pictures out of it, and there we go. In a couple of hours, I had my story with some illustrations done for my daughter's bedtime. And that was just the realization that all this chat I'd heard about ChatGPT is that actually AI is going to be a pretty powerful tool. So I went into work and I started badgering my manager for the E5 Copilot license, which is the elevated Copilot license. So it lets you do stuff like record meetings, transcribe meetings. You can ask your work stuff. It looks at your emails and things. And obviously that started to make my life as a project manager a lot easier because I had it helping me track meetings, track actions and tasks, do some documentation for me, or at least start it. And then I did some simple agents like standardizing status reports and things like that. Obviously, it saved me a significant amount of time, and also it was improving the quality of my work. The next thing that happened at Sky is they decided to run an AI Dragon's Den competition, and really it was just to get employees to think more about AI and learn a bit more about it. And I had listened to the Adam Buxton podcast, and he had critiqued his friend's book by putting it into Notebook LM and having them do some commentary on it. And I thought when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, this is quite a lot like the punditry that we do at Sky on our sports. So what about if we have sports rights to things that we, there are fans, but it doesn't really get to our pundit's desk because it's not Arsenal or Chelsea or whatever. We've got a big campus in Livingston, and at the time there was a Ross County v Livingston final match. And my idea was to just whack a few things in, I think a few Sky Sports articles into Notebook LM, have it create some commentary for me. I created some avatars of newsreaders in ChatGPT, and then whacked it all in Descript to do some animation of those avatars for me. My idea was personalized AI punditry, and this is what it came up with.
Sky, can you take me through the winning goals from the Livingston v Ross County promotion match?
Boy, did they deliver Robbie Muirhead. What a strike described here, a stunning curling effort.
Incredible goal.
That feels like the moment, the turning point in the whole comeback story.
Absolutely. That goal wasn't just quality. It completed that turnaround from 3-1 down overall to 4-3 up.
Put all the pressure back onto Ross County, suddenly chasing the game at home.
Exactly. And then deep into stoppage time, just to make sure, substitute Tet Yengi.
Ah, yes, the sealer.
Yeah, Krabs Livingston's fourth of the day. Makes it 4-2 in the leg, 5-3 on aggregate. The reports say it was so late, it basically killed the game right there.
Unbelievable comeback. Just incredible scenes.
So yeah, incredible scenes. It's probably old news now, stuff like that. But I thought at the time, wow, okay, this is really good. And I really want to learn how to work with AI. I think this could be brilliant. So I started asking anyone that would listen if they were doing AI stuff at work. I really wanted to sort of move away from the party tricks of images and animations and things like that, and actually understand how Sky was looking at implementing it properly to deliver value. And then that's when I heard about that they were doing an SDLC transformation in global streaming technology. So that looks after our apps like Peacock, Now TV, Sky Showtime, etc. So I'm going to move on. I have always had sort of dependencies on software engineering, or software development, but I had never sort of been in the sort of depths of it or had to work with Scrum Masters or devs every day. So I knew they were looking at AI coding assistants, and the way that I learn is by doing. I knew which ones they had in TPOC. So I thought, well, I've heard about vibe coding. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use an AI coding assistant and try and develop an app. And then could I get it deployed online? So obviously that's pretty hard to do. And I had lots of curiosity. I had heard of vibe coding. I'd never heard someone who didn't even know about code at all or couldn't write a line of it trying to do it. And the challenge that I set myself was to try and have the app use AI in itself, so be an AI-powered product. What I came up with was the idea of Naviva. So it was a healthy eating app. It would come up with personal sort of eating and exercise profile that users could have a food diary, and it would help them do their meal planning. And then AI would approximate the nutrition from what people were entering into that. The AI could help with recipe generation. In fact, I use AI for that quite a lot. And also that it would create images for the recipes that it was creating. My friend asked if it could digitize her recipe books. So where you've got a few recipes in a book that you like, that you could just take a photo and it would create a digital recipe card for you. That it could do progress tracking, and also the AI could have a look at the data you've been entering, and you could then ask it questions and answers based on sort of hints and tips and what it thought about it. And also that I wanted the assets and artifacts to be created by AI. So this logo here was created by Gemini. The models being used were GPT-4o Mini for the features, and then DALL-E for the recipe images. And then, sorry, it's another video to save me from doing a live demo, but here we go.
NuViva. Let's get started. NuViva makes healthy simple. In NuViva, you can set up your personal profile, including your height, weight, activity level, and exercise goals, and NuViva will set out nutrition targets for you. You can toggle on or off your nutrition, and you don't have to track calories if you don't want to. Then simply start adding your food. Type in what you've eaten and NuViva will estimate the nutrition for you, allowing you to keep on track. Creating favorites allows you to easily add the same foods again. Next, add your exercise and steps. And keep track of everything in progress. NuViva has more advanced features, including recipe generation. Simply set out your dietary requirements and what you're in the mood for. NuViva will suggest a healthy recipe using ingredients you already have in your pantry. NuViva can also save and analyze your favorite recipes for their nutrition profile. NuViva allows you to set a fasting schedule and meal windows on the fasting page. If you enable notifications, your device will notify when your fasting and meal windows are open and closed. To get the most out of NuViva, you can ask your exercise or nutrition AI coach for hints and tips. NuViva uses your entered data and your questions to give you simple answers, such as a strength workout that's great for beginners, or how best to boost your protein at breakfast. Keep your eye on your dashboard and boost nutrition where you need it, and see your exercise summary. Coming soon to nuviva.com.
So yeah, I've got a bit of testing to do, but once I've done it, I will try and get it live at nuviva.com. But how did I do it? Well, I downloaded VS Code, and one of the tools we were looking at was Augment. So I installed the Augment plugin. I liked Opus for coding. That was my favorite out of all the models. And what I really liked was the Augment prompt enhancer. So I could write a feature in there as a sort of a product manager, and it was not technical. And then I would use the prompt enhancer feature, and it would make it much more technical. As the code got more and more developed, then it was getting more and more technical. So, you know, this file needs to be updated, this file needs to be updated. And that's quite a good agentic user case for a product manager. There's also an ask mode, so if I was trying to figure out how something was working, I could just stick it in ask mode and it would tell me how the code was working. I used Claude on this side of me as an assistant to sort of coach me through everything, and Claude was really good. And then as I was getting sort of progressed, I would put the key code files into Claude and sort of get it to mark its own homework and tell me what it thought about it. I watched the sneak video that someone presented like a few months ago here and decided to point Sneak at the GitHub repo. And I had been prompting for security because I know that's an issue with vibe coding. But Sneak came back with 0 critical and 0 high security defects on the code base, which was pretty impressive. And then I had to get it online. So I turned to Claude again, and because it had seen the code files, I then said to it, where do we think we can host this? What would you suggest as an architect? And in the end, we landed on Railway for hosting, Cloudflare for the object storage, and also for DNS, and integrating Stripe for payments. Now, I have never done any of those things before, and it just coached me through everything. The secret sauce was taking screenshots, whacking it in Claude, and then it would take me step by step through the clicks that I had to do. And then obviously I had a bit of an instinct from my infrastructure work. But yeah, and then the final thing I decided to do was to try and get it running on iOS. So I installed Capacitor, and then it took Augment a day to refactor it and have iOS and Android files. And then I got my hands on a Mac Mini, installed Xcode, again, never done any of this before, and got it running on an iOS simulator by the end of the day. So I was just absolutely blown away by the power of these tools. But the question sort of for me is, I mean, that's great, but I'm not a developer, so what? And what it really brought home to me is that would have been impossible 18 months ago or 2 years ago for someone to do without sitting down and learning how to do all that stuff with someone at work. Really, ideas like that might have required £100,000 budgets can now be built much more cheaply and built much more quickly. And for me, the implication is AI transformation gives us the ability to turn expertise into execution, ideas into reality, and efficiencies into cost savings. But how? I am still seeing a massive gap between what AI can do and what AI is being used for day to day in big companies. And now I'm working in AI delivery, and we've had to really sit down and think how we're going to get the value out of this tool. For our SDLC at Global Streaming Transformation, we have been asked to increase velocity by 20%. So we have to deliver 20% more features and software delivery when we finish the AI transformation of the software delivery lifecycle. So how are we going to do it? And that's the big question. I think the way that we're approaching it is sort of in 3 steps, which is enable, implement, and evolve. And the key things around those are, the first thing is just to improve AI literacy. You know, I can still talk to people, and I really like Claude. It got me through a lot of hard days on that. And people don't know what it is. You know, they just hear about ChatGPT constantly. And by the way, ChatGPT just sent me in loops on Cloudflare. So it was Claude that got me out of a hole. So I find that it's, you know, people are in real different areas in terms of when it comes to AI access and literacy. And actually, we really need to improve that. One thing that Sky has just done is last month they've given everyone the Copilot E5 license. And now they're running a massive adoption drive on training and brown bags to get people to understand how to use Copilot more in their day-to-day work. But really what the literacy does is it lays a foundation for identifying bottom-up opportunities to use AI and deliver value across the business. So the next step of enable is you really need someone on the hook for delivering these AI initiatives in the company. So certainly in global streaming technology, I'm part of the AI enablement team now, who own the formation and delivery of the AI strategy. And what I would suggest people do is they identify champions or subject matter experts across the business areas, and then they work together to identify user cases for AI across this sort of value and complexity matrix. And that's where the literacy comes in, because it's hard to gauge complexity if you're not across AI day to day. Obviously, you want to start here. So the high value, low complexity stuff is going to be the easiest to deliver. And then as you get more mature, you can get to the more complex stuff. My top tips are use AI to do AI. There is nothing that we are now considering or looking at in terms of strategy that we then don't bounce off an LLM to try and understand what we're missing or what's going on. And also to secure top-down senior leadership support on these initiatives. And the other thing that we're making sure we're doing is collaborating across the business and learning from each other. These things are expensive, they take a long time. We don't want to be repeating mistakes or working in silos. The other thing I would say, though, is don't let perfection get in the way of progress. I find a lot of people procrastinating about AI adoption in companies because it just seems to be moving so fast and companies move so slow that you don't know what to hang your hat on, and you feel like if it's going to take 6 months to do something, the landscape's going to be changed so much in that time, you'll have missed out. But actually, the most important thing is getting started and getting something done, because that's where the biggest learnings will come from. Okay, so moving on to implementation. Once you've identified your AI user cases and workflows, the next thing really is to have a look at sourcing. So is there an external product outside that could deliver that value for you? Or are you going to have to spin up a project and deliver something internally? Or is what you're talking about actually an agentic workflow instead? And this is a big one. You need to invest in a proper agentic platform and to deliver key workflows. I see a lot of people kind of relying on Copilot, but obviously it's got quite a lot of limitations. It's controlled by the enterprise workplace team. It's not necessarily going to be able to be made bespoke to what your department needs. I would put the AI enablement team on the hook to deliver and promote key agents that are really transformative for your department. What's really important for that is for them to be meaningful connectors to data sources and tools. These things have really got to be useful. And our ultimate goal is to have staff be able to self-serve and create meaningful no-code agents, and also to have a front door process where if there's more complex agents, read-write, there's more data involved, that they can come to us. On that note, don't neglect data transformation. You might need to have a look at the key data you're relying on and start cleaning it up. And also, it's really important to have a measurement discipline to get buy-in. So actually, what KPIs are you sort of heading for? You need to define them and you need to find a way to measure them. Tracking adoption is pretty big for us, and also, as I said, velocity. If KPIs aren't being hit, then you really need to have a look at why. So for us, we're sort of moving beyond AI coding assistance now and looking at the beginning to end of the SDLC. So we're working with product on key ideation agents, working with architects on the architecture agents, requirements generation, and then we're looking at native tool sets. So for example, we use Atlassian and they've got Rovo. So we'll be doing a TPOC and having a look at that a little bit more closely. And the final thing is to evolve, and this is kind of in two parts. So number one is, if you change the way you work, you have to change the way you work. I think a lot of people think they can throw AI at something, and there we go, it's delivering value. But actually, no, you need to look at the processes and the workflow and other steps that have to change for those guardrails, keeping humans in the loop, etc. And the other thing is, you do need to roadmap and have a look at those innovations in AI and see, actually, does that need to go on your roadmap? Is that going to deliver value for you to try and keep on top of things? I would say that cybersecurity hate me because they have never seen so much work generated from one project. So yeah, you do need, obviously, a good governance and security framework as well. If I had got through to the Dragon's Den top 10, which I didn't, but if I had done, not that I'm bitter, but if I had done, my sort of parting shot to them was going to be, if you don't do it now, you're going to do it last. And I really think 2026, people have to start taking AI transformation seriously, because it's not going to be an advantage after 2026. If you haven't done it, it's going to be a disadvantage for you. But yeah, that was my journey through AI. Thank you very much.